Hi, welcome to the Leaders on Leaders podcast. My name is Amy Cook, and I am the host for today's session. It is my absolute pleasure to introduce one of the most influential leaders to me, my brother Greg, my little brother Greg Osmond. Greg, how are you?
I'm so great. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming. Thank you for driving all the way up from St. George to
My
do this
pleasure.
with me.
My
This
pleasure.
is so nice of you. So, one of the things I love about this podcast is that we get to talk about who's influenced us and what's influenced them. So for me, you've been very influential in my life ever since you were born, obviously. We grew up and had this really exciting life together with a dad in the entertainment industry, had some really exciting experiences on stage and off, moved around. We were the entertainers' kids. We did our own CD together, our own album together.
That's true.
Which was so fun in between your residency
Just
from medicine.
one of your many albums, though. So you've looped me into a lot of things over the years. It's true.
It's true. And you've looped me into a lot of things over the years, which has been really, really fun. So some of the things we've done together are, I loved doing our album together. I loved as adults. That was a really awesome opportunity for me as I was starting my business and I needed a release valve, and you were in the middle of residency and needed some creative outlet, right, Greg?
True. That is true.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And then my other favorite thing that we did together from a business perspective was Pathology Watch. So I want to talk a little bit about Pathology Watch at first and just ask you what gave you the idea as the co-founder of Pathology Watch. You started it along with Dan Lambert and Michael Torno, added April Larson as a co-founder, added me as your CMO, which I'm so happy about. And then we drove it from Series A all the way through acquisition to Sonic Healthcare, which was super cool, right?
Yeah.
So what got you excited about it? What made you want to start it?
First, you're one of the best siblings that anyone could ever ask for in the world. Just so you know, you're an impressive person.
Rick, you're not supposed to make me cry.
Anybody that works with you would know that, and that's the reason why Silicon Slopes is having you do this. Like you're an impressive, amazing person.
I love you so much.
So yeah, and I'm your sibling, but everybody else appreciates that too and knows that about you. So yeah, Pathology Watch was amazing. The true origin, I guess, where it originated for me, genuinely, was on. So I served a mission for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints in Honduras, and I was down in the middle of nowhere in a rural town near a city called Choluteca, and there was a lady there named Basilia, and we were working with her. She disappeared for some medical things, came back with a big tumor in a jar that sat on her wall, like on a shelf on the wall, and she couldn't afford to figure out what was wrong with her. Oh. And she never knew what was wrong with her. She obviously never got treated. She died thereafter with no answers. Her family had no idea. They just knew she was sick, and she didn't know her prognosis. If you don't get a diagnosis, you don't know. And so that's really sat with me my whole life. And some of the friends that I had down there have always, I remember leaving and they're saying, like, just don't forget about us. And if people have never lived outside of the United States, before you criticize the United States, you need to go live somewhere else.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, not that it's perfect here. There's problems here, but it is a different world that people need to see. And so that's been really influential entering healthcare. And my master's degree in public health was in focusing on international public health. A lot of it due to my experiences on my mission. And I had some other ones in healthcare down there too, but that one in particular I find interesting because now in my career, going through residency and thinking back on that, I would have done that for free. I could have diagnosed that for free, easy. But there's no infrastructure. There's no way I could have even helped her, and frankly, the institutions that I worked with would have never let me do it.
Yeah.
And so there's all these barriers that even if you have, the right intentions, the infrastructure is just not in place. And so I did, during residency, I spent a year and a half doing a program on health policy, law, and ethics focused on interstate commerce in digital pathology to try and figure out viable business models to like build out the infrastructure. I eventually had to go get a real job, at 35 and make some money. And so I took a job in North Dakota by our brother Steve and was there for a few years. Owen was born. So we had twins there, and he has a hearing issue that he needed a different center to take care of him. So we moved back to Utah at that point. And that's really when Pathology Watch started. I moved to St. George, and I was the only derm path that wasn't in a major metro center. Dermatologists have high expectations and needed certain things that my hospital could not provide them. And being by yourself is a significant disadvantage. And so that's when it all got packaged up together. Dan and I had worked before on some other projects, so I helped him start Board Vitals. I was the first physician to help him, I guess I should say. And then we did some other things in the interim and had been in talks we had been bouncing ideas off each other for years, looking for the right one.
I see.
And so, it all came together at that moment where I've been wanting to solve this problem and, solve the infrastructure problem to help underserved areas in the world and in the United States. You have to make money or you die. And so we needed a viable business model for the United States that worked. My derm path background and desires really matched to make a viable business plan. And we gave it a go, and it cost a lot of money. I mean, there was nothing there. So we built from nothing. There was nowhere we could go license this and like really take care of it in the way that we needed. We tried to do it with licensing and it wasn't working out for various reasons. So that's why we ended up needing to raise a lot of money and built the end-to-end product, and AI enabled the whole thing to bring the price points down. So eventually over time, anywhere in the world, you should be able to get the best quality of interpretation, regardless of where you live, with an extremely quick turnaround time.
So just for our listeners, basically, Greg, you saw a real need of a woman on your mission who died because she did not have a cancer diagnosis. And you went into medicine. You had been in contact with Dan, and you were able to provide some real solutions with health equity by taking all of those experiences and creating an end-to-end solution that digitizes skin biopsy slides, and you're able to see from anywhere in the world and read an interpretation of whether it's cancerous or not. Is that right?
Yep, basically.
Yeah. How has our dad getting brain cancer at 42, tell me about how that impacted you as well.
Hard topic. So he died recently.
Yeah.
Which
tomorrow's his birthday.
Tomorrow's his birthday. All of our siblings are getting together to take my mom to dinner.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he was a best-in-class guy.
Yeah.
I think, getting diagnosed as a kid, I didn't realize what that meant. I wasn't old enough. I think I was like 13 or 14 when it happened. And he was a different person after. He never really came back to be who he was pre.
He lost his hearing. He lost some of his, I feel like his personality was still there, but it was a little bit more, he just didn't feel very good after that.
Yeah.
And it was interesting because I'm the oldest, as you know, but for anyone who's listening. And I was 18 when that happened, and you were 14, I think. And I remember when Dad sat us down on the couch and said, I've got a brain tumor, and I'm flying to Duke University tomorrow, and hope it goes okay. And luckily Duke had exceptional doctors, 2 12-hour surgeries, 2 days in a row, and he's a cancer survivor, and we got him for another 30 years, which is incredible.
It is incredible.
But for me too, that really affected me wanting to do something good that was somehow in healthcare, even though I'm a marketer, that would help bring health equity to people and also help people's patient outcomes. So when I was working at Simplus, which was a Salesforce partner, I always somehow found myself in the middle of doing Health Cloud. And then when I moved to Infosys, I found myself doing the vaccine management. And I naturally was always drawn to that because much like you see these things happening to people and you think if only there were a better infrastructure, if only there were a system that could really help people, then we could actually make an impact. And I think that's one of the reasons that I admire you so much, is because you didn't just say, oh, wouldn't that be great if our infrastructure could change? You said, I'm going to change the infrastructure. And you did. And you were successful.
Oh, thanks.
It was really, really impressive.
Oh, thanks. It's yeah, it is true. Everybody has a good idea. And frankly, like my Pathology Watch was not a not truly novel idea. People have been talking about it for 10 years.
But you went ahead and you did it. And so not only, here's another thing that I really admire is, not only did you have the background as a physician and the ability to do the interpretations, but you also had all of the sales skills and marketing skills from growing up in an entertainment family to go out and actually sell your product. And that's really hard to do. And so tell me, what was that like going out and having like your own sales job for the first time?
Honestly, I loved it. It was super fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I know most people dread doing that. It's an adrenaline rush. And you and I are similar in that way. I mean, it's kind of like walking out on stage and you got to put on a show and then you find out how well you did if they buy the product or not. Okay.
That's right. Like I'll come out of sales meetings, I'll be like, I totally should have repositioned that differently, or like I nailed the performance or whatever, but I like how you talked about that. And I think that is also so interesting about how in order to make real change happen like you did, in order to go from point A, you're a kid on your mission, you see somebody die and you want to help, to where you are today, which is not only did you found not only did you found the technology with Dan, but you also built the entire business and sold it. So with Sonic Healthcare, who is now enabling it on a global stage, but you're also now doing what's next, which is you're still running your own pathology practice. And I'm assuming you're not done yet.
Yeah, no, I'm very supportive of everyone I work with at the moment. Yeah. So I think, yeah, no, it's true. It's been an adventure. It's been really fun. Yeah.
That's awesome. So, all right. So we've talked a lot about your professional career, which I really love. And I want to know, how do you stay charged? Let's talk about a few more personal things. Like you're like this incredible person. You're so driven. Like, how do you stay charged?
Great question. So I'm an introvert by nature. So you talk about going out on sales and put on a show. Yeah. And our dad was the same way. He'd go put on an amazing show, and he'd go actually in Branson, Missouri, where he was doing all those shows. All of his brothers would go to the backstage changing room. He actually would go to the closet, and he put a chair in the closet. He did not want to see anyone. He didn't want to talk to his brothers. He's like, I just need to be alone. He
needed his energy back.
Yeah, that's how he recharged. I'm totally the same way. Okay. And if I have any kind of special, I guess it's a double-edged sword, but I do really well by myself. Like I can go super deep and focus on a single task and get lost in it, which in some ways has been extremely beneficial. In other ways, my family doesn't appreciate it sometimes when I have no idea what's going on in the room.
Yeah, you go into your zone.
I go to my little, yeah.
Not a lot of people believe this about me, but I am exactly the same way. I get in front of my computer and I zone out for hours, and that's when my energy comes back.
Yeah,
just like I'm charging a computer, I'm charging my body back up, so then I can go back out and try to do sales and marketing and all that kind of thing.
I'd say the other release. I mean, just to be totally honest, I mean, we're here to be candid, right?
Right.
So,
yeah.
Religion's huge. Yeah, it really is for me. So like spirituality and like I pray regularly, probably many times a day. I read religious texts a lot.
Yeah.
Daily. So yeah, I'd say that those are like the essentials. If I don't do that, I can't stay charged. I end up not feeling good and not able to perform well.
I love that. It is, that's your why, and it's my why too. You have to think about why are we doing this? If it's just to make money, you burn out pretty quickly, right? Like lots of people in business, are in it to make money, and that is a worthy cause. We all have to, provide for our families and stuff, but it is neat to be able to have that extra why. And for me, I have the same reasons that you do. It's really cool.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah. So what about your family? Like I know you're a huge family man. Tell us a little bit, and I already know, but tell everyone else a little bit about your family. How do you balance, when you go deep and when you go hard and fast, how do you balance that with a family life? You've got 5 kids and a gorgeous wife and who's amazing in every single way.
Yeah, I don't is the reality.
Mm-hmm.
And the only reason it's worked out, and it's worked out really well, is that it's not, I've never viewed it, neither does Kaylin's, my wife. We never do anything in isolation,
mm-hmm.
and it's a joint venture. So Pathology Watch is no different.
Mm-hmm.
So the first scanner, the first repository that we got ended up in our garage. The first scanner was under the closet under the stairs in my
mm-hmm.
house, and the first employee was Kaylin.
Mm-hmm.
And she was the one going through, finding all the slides, cleaning them up, scanning them all.
Yeah.
She was all in, and the reality is I never do anything unless we both feel really good about it, because
mm-hmm.
we do it together, and there's no way. Like, my life would have completely blown up if she wasn't 100%
mm-hmm.
on board, pushing just as hard.
Mm-hmm.
And that was true in medical school and
mm-hmm.
residency. And
I think you kind of have to do it that way when you have high ambitions. Like, my husband Jeff and I are the same way, right? When I remember one day when he was just completely I had a bunch of little kids, and he was completely overworked, and I was trying to get some attention. And I felt kind of bad because, like, he was totally ignoring me because he had to do his work. And I remember the moment I was like, fine, I'm just going to be busier than he is, and he's going to ask for my attention.
And he has regretted it ever since. I can tell you that.
And that's what happens. So anyway, but what ended up happening was I got into business, and he was a really great business mentor for me. I wanted to start a business, and he was like, all right, well, show me your spreadsheet. I literally knew nothing about business. I was just like, I'm going to do it. I know how to do writing and marketing. I'm going to figure it out. And so I remember building this spreadsheet, and I was so proud of myself. And I brought this to him, and I was like, look, Jeff, this is how I'm going to track all my clients. And it had like 5 cells or something in it, and he didn't say anything. He just walked out of the room. And I was like, I guess he must have liked it. Okay. And then he walked back in, and he goes, I'm going to be your CFO. And so that was the start of a beautiful business relationship.
That's awesome. That
lasted 15 years. And he did that on the side the whole way through. It took him, because he's pretty smart, it only took him about 5 hours a week to do it. But it was a really awesome opportunity for us. And I think it helped us grow together also. And I think, to reiterate what you said about you and Kaylin, I think that businesses, when you're an entrepreneur, I think it can really tear you apart as a family, or it can bring you together as a family. And it really hurts me when I see friends and family like breaking up right after their businesses go public, mm-hmm. or right after, something wonderful happens with their business, and then you see them getting divorced. And it's like, that is like literally the most tragic thing for me to watch. So
you can get lost in it. I understand it.
Yeah.
I totally understand
mm-hmm.
it. You can get lost in it. We had a really good model,
uh-huh.
and somebody who cared more about those things than earthly ambitions.
Yeah, our dad gave
really
us a good background for that. And same with Mom. Like, Mom could have done anything she wanted in this world. She could have been, she had a very, very sharp mind. And she could have done anything. And instead, she decided that she was going to focus all of her attention on us, which when we were kids, we didn't always love. But it was definitely what we always needed. And I just think she's such a great example of sacrifice and priorities as well.
Yeah, I agree. I just remember being a little kid,
mm-hmm.
I remember watching Entertainment Tonight with Dad, and Dad was on it.
Mm-hmm.
And he got asked, I'm going to slaughter this so you can pull up a segment
mm-hmm.
if you want to see it, but he got asked something like, well, what would you do if you weren't entertainment or whatever? And he's like, I don't care about this. More or less.
Right on Entertainment Tonight. I remember that.
Do you remember that?
Oh, so clearly.
And one of his brothers was there, and his brother was like, what?
Yeah.
I disagree.
That's right. And Dad goes, yeah, I'd rather be flying airplanes if you want to know my honest answer,
But the reality is that's who he actually was at home. and talk about keeping life into perspective. And I remember getting, stars in my eyes every once in a while, and he would put me in my place. He's like,
none of this
what
matters.
What are you talking about?
None of this matters. Yeah. I really love that. Well, so Greg, for people who, admire your path, which many, many, many people do, including me, what advice would you give entrepreneurs starting? Like you and I just went to lunch with a budding entrepreneur that I think is just going to absolutely be an outstanding entrepreneur. He's 19.
Yeah.
What advice would you have for him?
Great question. So there's a lot of different ways to start companies, a lot of different pathways. And I do think it's a different environment now than it used to be. I mean, SaaS was king for a long time. I think those days are dead. In terms of the approach and the pathway, I think it's a little bit different. At least that's what I would recommend is different. So if I was to summarize it, I still think that chiefly you've got to be subspecialized and expert in your area if you really want to win. If you really want to win and win big, you've got to be the expert in that particular area in order to do it. And if you think you can, I'll just hire the best, guess what? You're not going to be able to hire the best until you're going public or huge. And then maybe you hire the best, like how are you going to get there? You have to be the best at whatever that is, whatever you're starting it in. I'm a huge advocate for Steve Blank's lean startup methodology. From what I see, there's a million ideas that all sound, well, no, they don't all sound great, but there are a lot of different ideas that all sound viable and feasible. And I think the methodology that he describes is huge, I'm not like an expert in it or anything, but I follow it and I've read a lot about it and studied it. And the minimum viable product, which is where people think, I'm going to build a minimum viable product and then I'm going to test it out and we'll see. I'm like, no, that is a huge waste of time and money. That is not the way to go. You can prove out well before you even start your minimum viable product if this is going to be feasible or not, if people are going to buy it, if they're going to want it, if it has the features they need in that particular space. If you're not an expert in that space, you're going to have no idea. And there's so much nuance. So like our Pathology Watch, for an example, there were other companies in the space doing the exact same thing that had funded 10x funding over us. And we just destroyed them in the open market because of the nuance and the details. So April Larson is meticulous dermatologist that knows exactly what a derm wants. I'm the same way in Derm Path. Like we built this amazing product with Dan that Michael could sell. Like that was basically our founding team. And so subspecializing, thinking that you could just somebody else is gonna learn the details for you. Good luck. Like, I'm not gonna be investing in your company.
I could not lean in. I could not say that better. First of all, be the best. Second of all, do your homework. You don't have to spend a lot of money that you spend if you do your homework. I love that. Anything else?
Third, don't take money until you need it. And you don't need it until you have product market fit, actual product market fit. And if you can get through, you may need an angel or whatever, but if you can get through those stages until you take money, you'll have a big exit. And if you take it early, you may have an amazing company in the end and your exit's going to be okay. But I think and that just goes back to the lean startup methodology. So I'm a big advocate for it. And there's a guy, I've been to a conference, I guess to give him a plug. His name's John Richards in town. I think a lot of people will know him. He knows his stuff. He's great. So I've been to one of his courses too. And so I'm a fan.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, Greg, thank you so much.
Yeah,
that was
for sure.
so much fun. I loved hearing, experiencing it with you. I loved hearing you talk about it in a more of a digest version and just kind of see how you framed the whole experience. And it is just an absolute pleasure to be your sister and
thanks.
Your business partner. And I just am so grateful that you came on today and talked with us.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Thank you.